The story out of Washington State is horrible, and it was all caught on video. In September, just west of the Seattle airport, a cashier at this gas station was working alone. It was around 9 p.m. when this surveillance video captures 6 men arrive inside the store, all dressed in black, wearing face masks and hoodies. They mill around for a few, grabbing stuff here and there, eventually make their way to the checkout counter. As one starts to head towards the cigarettes, one of the men begins wailing on the employee. As he beats her, 3 others ransack the entire cigarette display, while another guy goes for the cash register. The woman falls to the floor as the place is torn apart, and the man who's attacking her begins kicking her down on the ground. Moments later, the whole crew runs off with their stolen money and merch, and the employee is left huddling in pain. In the parking lot, all 6 flee into 2 stolen cars, which they'd also arrived in, and drive off. The employee is now recovering and recounted to local news what went down when she saw the masked men enter the store.
I had a feeling something was going to happen, and I mentally prepared myself to be robbed. I was not prepared to be attacked. They said that they were going to take what they wanted for free, came behind the counter. The one started just hitting me. I was beat into the corner at that point, and then it was over. I mean, it was fast. It was very fast.
The teens were inside the store for about 5 minutes and ended up making off with cigarettes and about $100 worth of cash. The employee is taking some time off but plans to return to work, and the store's owner said they'll add more people to the night shift. Nobody has been arrested.
So a lot of this type of activity been going on, you know, with people running in stores and basically doing a snatch and grab. So now they hitting, you know, all type of stores, grocery stores, high fashion designers, corner stores. I mean, they doing this for $100, man, and just some cigarettes type stuff. Cause it's like y'all just walking in the store, nobody in there, and then y'all just run the store. And you in a group like that with masks on, you just know something is not about to go right. You know what I'm saying? Just for the simple fact, don't nobody need to be wearing that shit nowadays, man. You know, it's messed up out here nowadays, and I know it just gonna only get worse, and hopefully one day it is start to get better. Cause you already know, man, too much is going on is all I can say.
She was like in a heavy state of decomposition. IDing who this was quite difficult under the hot November sun. In the middle of January 2015, that a 12-year-old Tia Palmer, Tia, arrived at a house in Chambers Flat to her new family, a foster family, the Torburns.
Now this story right here is quite disturbing. 12-year-old in and out of foster home, man, and she's a female with these boys, so something ain't right, something don't sound right. And usually kids that be in these foster homes like that, they just don't never feel loved because of how things is in the environment. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you'll be doing a good deed by helping me out. I mean, it's free, it ain't gonna cost you nothing. Like and comment, let's get it.
Torburns were made up of Daddy Rick, Mama Julene, and 2 sons, 18-year-old Trent and 19-year-old Josh. Tia attended Marsden State High School, not terribly far from her new home, maybe 20 minutes. On the 30th of October 2015 was a Friday. Tia had been living with the Torburns for about 9 months at this stage. That morning, Rick drove Tia to school, dropped her off at 8:10, and off he went. However, Tia was not seen at any classes at the high school. She was a complete no-show. After dropping Tia off, Rick went to pick up a few bits and bobs for his cars. He loved automobiles. And then he arrived home. A couple of hours later, he got a call from the school saying Tia was never there. That is when she was reported missing. Now, Tia had run away from their home a couple of times before. As you can imagine, being a foster child, not the easiest. But every time she did do a legger, she was nearly always found, within a few hours. She'd show up eventually. Not this time. The police began looking for her. Rick posting on Facebook asking if anyone had seen her at all. Seems like nobody cared about her. But at this stage, it wouldn't matter. On the 5th of November, less than a week after she had been reported missing, a discovery was made. not the kind of one you would want. On the banks of the Palmer River, south of Brisbane, lay the body of a young girl. It was fishermen who stumbled across her. She had just been dumped there in the mud, reeds, and shallow water. She was in a heavy state of decomposition, and it definitely wasn't possible to determine a cause of death. So who do you look at first? Well, you start with the obvious ones, the Torburns. They are questioned extensively, but the investigation moved on. She was dropped off at the school, and then she just disappeared. Any sex offenders in the area, they were brought in, questioned, over 300 of them, but that wasn't a huge lead either. Tiali was buried on the 14th of November. Her funeral attended by over 600 people from the community and beyond.
So what kind of household do y'all think this family is? Because we haven't really heard too much about the description of what kind of family this girl was living with. As we heard, she ran away a few times, but foster kids usually have it pretty hard growing up.
May 2016, 6 months after Tia was discovered, that the first real lead came up. Crime Stoppers received an anonymous tip. Someone called in and had information. They had a story to tell, and it was about Tia. They told of how Tia had complained about having stomach cramps in the last couple of weeks of October, and how on the 29th of October, the Torburns had a family meeting. The next day, Tia disappeared. Maybe the Torburns were just really good at hiding stuff. Well, not in this case, actually, because around the same time, Daddy Rick was also accused of sexual abuse of children out of Julene's daycare, and around that time, the police placed secret recording devices in the Torburn home, and it revealed how Rick and Julene coached the boys. They brought in Julene and Josh, anonymous tipster who called Crime Stoppers. They'd gotten Facebook messages from wannabe boy band member Trent Torburn, and the messages went a little something like this. Basically, Trent had been having sex with Tia. Tia was 12, he was 19, so he raped her. He feared Tia became pregnant and went to his parents. That evening, Thursday, the 29th of October, they had a, family discussion, and after Rick essentially told everybody, Julene and the two boys, get out of the house, especially two boys, go somewhere you'll be seen by others. So he was left in the house with Tia. Behind closed doors, Rick was, extremely controlling, and the rest of the family was afraid of him, including young Tia. She grew to fear him quickly.
I wonder if this guy been in the military, just because how his hair cut is and stuff. I mean, he got a little piece right there, and maybe right there, but for the most part, he just probably need to get it touched up. But anyway, besides the fact, they saying that this dude is very controlling, and I believe that just by him telling everybody to get out the house and be seen, because he is a sneaky son of a rat gun that's about to do something dumb. And you know what? I hate when people think that they can control folks or that they have high power of someone else, when they really don't.
She never wanted to be left alone with him, and she started running away from the Torburn home. And she was alone with Rick that evening. When they returned, the rest of the family, he told them she was gone. She was in fact in his shed and would be dumped along the river the next day. The sightings of Tia at school, the sightings which made the police believe that she actually had been dropped off at school, Rick never dropped her off that morning. That was all a story he told the police. Rick murdered Tia because his son slept with her, raped her, and feared she may be pregnant.
I wanted to try and tell the police that I'd been told what had happened. But I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't make it 10 steps out of the door. That he would do the same to me.
And so, it was after Rick they went. It was determined that he genuinely did drive to the school that morning, even though Tia was already dead. I guess he wanted to make sure his car was spotted. And it was! On CCTV, driving by the school. In mid-September, Rick's car was seized. The police guessed it had been used for something. The shitstorm hit the Torburns not long after. It was the 20th of September 2016 that the entire family were taken into custody. Julene and Josh, who they did cooperate, both were charged with perjury and attempting to pervert the course of justice. Trent was charged with 2 counts of perjury, attempting to pervert the course of justice, and also incest. Rick, he was charged with murder and interfering with a corpse. And then, get a load of this. Shortly after Rick was arrested, it seemed that at the time of his arrest he knew the Rozzers were coming and they were not going to take him alive. They did though. He had taken a load of pills, attempting to off himself. Instead, he was placed in a medically induced coma. He then woke up a few days later and it was like, yep, alright, so where were we? Oh, you killed a child? Yeah. It would come out during the trial that Tia had told her foster mother about the abuse, and she did nothing. The week before her death, she also tried to move to a friend's house, and the Department of Child Safety were also notified. It was only when, of course, that Trent said he thought she may be pregnant that something happened. Josh was sentenced to 3 months, Julene, 18 months, Trent was sentenced to 4 years, and Rick, the big dirty bastard, he got life without the possibility of parole for 20 years. His time in prison, he got the kicked out of him. Understandable. Most recently, in May 2021, it was announced that Rick was to be called before an inquest. They needed to determine how Tia died. He pled guilty to avoid a trial, and hence, he avoided really having to say anything about how it actually went, though he did say,
I have no memory of the night this happened, and not much memory of the past 2.5 years. I don't know how I could, in a sane mind, do what I have done.
Quite a twist. A hell of a disturbing one, for sure. And that is the end of that one.
No, that's crazy. Just for the simple fact, man, they did that to a 12-year-old because they thought she could possibly be pregnant, and he was 19, so yeah, he basically lucky. And this whole family got lucky. They really dodged the bullet. I mean, the dad got life, but he only got 20 years. And then everybody else got the little, slap on the back charges. So it's like, damn, they must have had money or something to have a super good lawyer, or it just doesn't make sense to me how they only got what they got for what they did. It should have been way more than that.